Technical Services Training Manager for Magnolia Audio Video, and today we're here to talk about the Atlona AT-HD4-SI40SR HDMI extender. So we'll just get started. I'll just go ahead and open up the box. Alright, in the box, obviously you're going to have the sender, the receiver, and there are the power supplies for both the sender and the receiver. Now there's a couple things to note about the power supplies. They use a small laptop style power supply, but that comes with a couple advantages. One, the power cables, unlike previous HDMI extenders, do not use the transformer style power supplies that tend to block power outlets. So when you're installing one of these behind a television, you just use the standard AC power cord, plug it into a single power outlet, connect it into the power supply, and you're good. Another thing is the connector, the power connector, actually threads into both the sender and the receiver, and the power cable actually locks on. So if you've got a TV mounted on the wall, and the HDMI extender might be mounted to the back of the TV, you don't have to worry about movement of the TV actually disconnecting the DC power cable. Okay? All right, in terms of features for the HDMI extender, what's really good about these new ones is they actually support 3D, unlike previous generations of HDMI extenders that didn't. So this is a big step forward for Magnolia. These extenders also work with Cat5, Cat5e, and Cat6 cable, but you do get your best performance with Cat6 cable because of the increased bandwidth that's available in that cable. So you get your greatest length with Cat6, and they're advertised to come in right around 130 feet with a continuous run of Cat6. If the Cat6 or the Cat5e is terminated to a wall jack, that connection will actually reduce the performance of the connection, and as a result, you probably wouldn't get as much performance through there. So if your cable is connected to a wall jack, the 130 feet number tends to be reduced. By what degree? I think it varies on installation, but the best practice from an installation standpoint is to have a continuous run of cable with male RJ45s on both ends, and then the sender and the receiver then are plugged into either end of the cable. All right, so there's a couple things to note in terms of features on both the sender and the receiver. This is the actual transmitter model. So this is the sender. On this device, there's actually a mode switch on here, and the mode switch is for what they call EDID, or extended display information data. And what this does is it allows the sender to actually read the data from the television so that it knows how to properly handshake via HDMI. One of the big problems with HDMI extenders, especially if HDMI is passing through an AV receiver, is that the HDMI source cannot accurately read the electronic data from the display. So what this does, it has the ability to actually store the data of the display into it, and therefore when it's connected into the system, the HDMI source, which is connected into the sender, can read it accurately. So there's actually steps in the installation manual that explains precisely how to go about calibrating this by connecting the sender directly into the display. So I encourage you highly to read those steps and get to know them. On the receiver module, it also has a variable knob, but it does an entirely different task. And all this is it's a signal booster, so that on long cable runs, you just adjust the dial up, and what it does is it increases the signal that's received over the cable, boosting it back up and correcting for the signal loss that occurs in long cable runs. So if when you connect up the system, you see that the signal is either kind of coming in and out, or if you see some snow, sometimes pink snow is the common signature of a low received signal level. Just get your tweaker out, connect it into the variable dial here, and adjust up and boost up the signal, and it should correct for any problems as long as the cable length is under 130 feet. So that is a look at the HDMI extender, and thank you for your time. this section of the video, we're going to walk you through the process of learning the ED/ID information from the display and locking it into the HDMI extender. So our equipment setup for this particular part of the training video is an HDMI connected Blu-ray player. It's connected into an AV receiver which is providing switching of HDMI sources, and then we've got a display here, of course, which is connected to HDMI. So right here we've got our sender, our receiver, we've got the two power supplies, one for both the sender and the receiver, and then we've got a 100-foot length of Cat5e cable. So we're going to walk you through the process of getting it all connected. Okay, now when you unbox the HDMI system, the sender is generally set to either mode 1 or mode 2. Now to capture the ED/ID information of the display, you have to change it out of mode 1 or mode 2 and bring it over to mode 7. And that's done using a small tweaker screwdriver, and you just adjust the dial and bring it over to the last position, which is mode 7. Now the next step in the process is actually to connect the HDMI cable plugged into the display into the sender, like thus, and then you're going to connect the DC power cord to provide power to the sender. Now right when you connect it, because it's in ED/ID learning mode, what you're going to see is there's two LEDs right above the RJ45 port. Those LEDs will illuminate, then they will go out for approximately 1 second, and they will come back on. And when they've come back on, that indicates that the sender has learned the ED/ID information of the display. There we go, we're complete. Okay, the next step is to disassemble the system, and you're going to remove the DC power cord, remove the HDMI cable, and then you're going to connect the receiver into the display and provide power to it. Alright, now we're ready to connect the sender into the AV receiver. So because we were in the ED/ID learning mode, we want to remember to dial back out of that, and I'm going to bring it back to mode 1. And this is the HDMI cable connected to the monitor out of my AV receiver. So I'm going to connect that into the the HDMI in. I'm going to provide power. I'm going to connect one end of my Cat5e cable here, my 100-foot length. Connect the other end into the HDMI receiver over here at the display, and we should see video. There we go. That is it. Okay, in this section of the video we're going to take a look at the effect that the boost circuitry, which is built into the receiver, has in helping clean up signals when you've got a weak signal strength received at the receiver. And that's usually the result of a very long cable. Most installations have maybe a 75-foot cable length, but if they're longer, out to the maximum of 130 feet, the longer the cable, the more energy is lost along that length of that cable, and the effect of that is actually what you see here on the display. The signature of a weak received signal strength is the snowy artifacts that you see here, and the image will tend to cut in and out, as we see here. Alright, so the process for boosting is actually to get your adjustment screwdriver. At the receiver module, there's the adjustment knob right here, and out of the box, the receivers are set to their minimum sensitivity. The minimum boost. So as I see here, I do see that it's set to minimum. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust it up from minimum until the image cleans up. So it does it on a click basis. So I'm going to go one click, and I see a good improvement there, but still not perfect. I'm going to adjust it one more click. It looks pretty good, but it's still got a little bit of snow in the image. There's my third click. It looks almost perfect. I still see some really tiny snow artifacts, and I'm going to go ahead and click it one more time, and I think that'll be enough. Yep, that's it. The image looks great.